No advertising slogan has been spoofed more times than "Got Milk," a two-word question that outgrew the product it was built to sell. Here's how it escaped the confines of a California dairy campaign and infiltrated nearly every corner of television, from Sesame Street to The Simpsons, from Saturday morning cartoons to late-night comedy. Before we get into the parodies, though, we need to understand why this campaign was so ripe for imitation. A slogan doesn't get parodied by dozens of TV shows unless it first burrows deep into the collective consciousness. And "Got Milk" didn't just burrow, it tunneled straight through. The year was 1993. Milk sales in California had been declining for over a decade, and the California Milk Processor Board was desperate. They hired a man named Jeff Manning as executive director to figure out how to get people drinking milk again. Manning turned to a San Francisco advertising agency called Goodbye, Silverstein and Partners. Here's where things get interesting. The team at the agency came up with a tagline that almost never saw the light of day. According to a 2009 documentary called Art and Copy, the people inside the agency thought the phrase "got milk" was lazy, not to mention grammatically incorrect. They nearly killed it before it was born. What saved it was the breakthrough research of account planner John Steele, who conducted focus groups using what became known as the milk deprivation strategy. Instead of asking people why they love milk, Steele asked them to imagine going without it for a week. The results revealed milk's true role, not as a beverage, but as the thing that makes everything else work. But on October 29, 1993, the first "Got Milk" commercial aired nationwide, and it changed everything. The ad was directed by a young filmmaker named Michael Bay through propaganda films, years before he became synonymous with exploding transformers. The commercial was written by Chuck McBride, with Rob Paulson voicing the radio DJ and Denny Delk providing the iconic "Got Milk" voiceover that would become the campaign's signature sound. It featured an actor named Sean Whalen, playing an obsessive history buff surrounded by Aaron Burr memorabilia. His phone rings. It's a radio station asking a $10,000 trivia question. Who shot Alexander Hamilton? He knows the answer. Of course he knows the answer. He's standing in a room full of Aaron Burr artifacts. But his mouth is cemented shut with a massive bite of peanut butter sandwich, and there's no milk to wash it down. He tries to croak out, "Aaron Burr," but all that comes out is an unintelligible mumble. The radio host hangs up, and then those two devastating words appear on screen. "Got milk?" The commercial was an instant sensation. It won Best in Show at the Clio Awards in 1994. The Directors Guild of America gave Michael Bay their award for Outstanding Directing in Commercials. Entertainment Weekly named it the 11th best commercial of all time. USA Today would later rank it among the 10 best commercials of all time in a 2002 poll. And by 1994, something remarkable happened. California milk sales increased for the first time in over a decade, jumping from 740 million gallons to 755 million. That's a 7% bump, driven largely by two words and a peanut butter sandwich. What made this campaign revolutionary wasn't just its creativity, but how it broke from the previous generation of dairy advertising. The McCann-Erickson campaign, "Milk It Does a Body Good," from the 1980s, had focused on milk's health benefits. "Got Milk" flipped the script entirely, focusing on what happens when you don't have it. In 1995, the tagline was licensed nationally, and the iconic milk moustache print campaign launched, eventually featuring over 300 celebrities. Naomi Campbell was the first. Over 180 of those ads were photographed by Annie Leibovitz. Britney Spears, Beyoncé, Rihanna, Serena, and Venus Williams. The cast of Everybody Loves Raymond. Even fictional characters like Batman, the Avengers, SpongeBob SquarePants, and the Powerpuff Girls all wore that white mustache. Over the course of 2 decades, more than 70 television commercials ran in California alone, and roughly 350 milk mustache ads ran nationally. The campaign achieved over 90% awareness in the United States. 90%. To put that in perspective, that means almost every single American knew the slogan. And when almost every single American knows your slogan, every single comedy writer in the country is going to take a crack at it. The Aaron Burr commercial itself became such a cultural touchstone that it ran again nationwide in 2002, 9 years after its debut, a rarity in the advertising industry. And when Broadway's Hamilton became a cultural phenomenon, Leslie Odom Jr., who played Aaron Burr in the musical, recreated the commercial shot for shot in 2015 as a promotional tie-in, bringing the connection full circle. Which brings us to the parodies, and I want to start with one of the most clever and self-aware ones. The Weird Al Show debuted on CBS in the fall of 1997, bringing Weird Al Yankovic's brand of absurdist humour to Saturday morning television. Naturally, a show built entirely around parody wasn't going to let the biggest advertising slogan in the country slide by without comment. In one segment, Al creates a parody ad with the tagline, "Got lard," and here's the detail that makes this so perfectly Weird Al. He's obsessively directing the production of the fake commercial, making sure the typeface matches the original Got Milk campaign exactly. Make the T, L and D all the same height, he instructs. It's parody about the act of parody. Meta before Meta became a thing everyone did on the internet. The show also featured another segment where an announcer sends people after kids in the ad to spill all their milk, capping it off with an evil laugh. It was ridiculous. It was Weird Al. And it captured just how omnipresent that slogan had become in just 4 years. Now, when The Simpsons decides to parody something, you know it's truly embedded in the culture. Their take might be the most faithful adaptation of the original commercial's core concept. In the episode Jaws Wired Shut, Homer Simpson finds himself in the exact same predicament as Sean Whalen's history buff, but with a twist. Homer knows the answer to a trivia question that would win him free beer for life. Not $10,000, but free beer, because this is Homer Simpson we're talking about. But his jaws are literally wired shut. He can't speak. He can't give the answer. And he loses. The genius of this parody is that it doesn't just reference the Got Milk campaign, it transplants its entire dramatic engine. The agony of knowing the answer but being physically unable to deliver it gets moved to Springfield. The stakes are different, the character is different, but that core frustration is identical. Anyone who'd seen the original commercial, which again was about 90% of the country, immediately got the joke. Sesame Street, a show that's always been remarkably savvy about pop culture, found not one, but 2 ways to work in Got Milk references. In episode 3986, the show features a fictional search engine called Yoo-Hoo, and on the screen pops an ad that reads, "Got eggs, get eggs," using a font unmistakably similar to the Got Milk campaign. It's subtle enough that the kids watching might not catch the reference, but their parents certainly would. That dual audience approach has always been one of Sesame Street's secret weapons. Then in episode 4218, Telly is reading a comic book, and on the back cover there's a superhero holding a glass of milk with the caption, "Moo Juice." It's a small visual gag, the kind of blink and you miss it detail that rewards attentive viewers. But it tells you something profound about how deeply Got Milk had penetrated American culture when a show designed for preschoolers assumes its audience will recognize the reference. The Muppets have taken multiple swings at the campaign over the years, and honestly, you'd expect nothing less from a franchise built on affectionate parody. Miss Piggy in the 1997 Muppet parody calendar. The sequel posed for her own version of the milk mustache ad, but with a very Miss Piggy substitution. Her tagline? Got cake? Because of course it was. Then in 2015, when the Muppets returned to television with a new ABC series, the 13th episode featured a reference to the campaign as Got Silk, which, when you think about it, is actually a pretty good tagline for a show starring fabric puppets. Kermit the Frog and Cookie Monster also appeared in official Got Milk print ads, with Cookie Monster's version released as a poster. So the Muppets weren't just parodying the campaign, they were participating in it. That blurred line between parody and partnership tells you something about how the Got Milk brand actually embraced being made fun of. In 2005, the California Milk Processor Board created a poster called Got Ripped Off, showcasing their top 100 favourite parodies of the slogan. They weren't fighting the parodies, they were celebrating them. Alton Brown's Good Eats, which ran on the Food Network, brought its signature blend of food science and comedy to the Got Milk universe in the episode Celeryman, which aired on June 23, 2008. Brown's parody recreated the original commercial's premise, but swapped the peanut butter sandwich for peanut butter on celery. It's a small change, but it's thematically perfect for a show that was always about rethinking how we approach food. The peanut butter connection is key. That thick, mouth-coating, speech-destroying peanut butter was always the real villain of the original commercial. Brown understood that the joke only works if you preserve that element. The Bozo Super Sunday Show brought the parody to an even younger audience. In their version, Bozo the Clown is eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when a radio station calls offering him a new bicycle. But just like Sean Whalen's Historian, just like Homer Simpson, Bozo can't articulate the answer because his mouth is glued shut with peanut butter. No milk to save him. There's something almost mythological about this structure at this point. It became a template, a comedy archetype, the person who knows the answer but can't speak it. The Got Milk campaign essentially invented a new comedic framework, and show after show kept returning to it because the frustration is so universally relatable. The Nostalgia Critic, in Season 10, Episode 46, titled War of the Commercials, took a more meta approach. When the critic discovers that the original Aaron Burr commercial was directed by Michael Bay, the show cuts to a sketch imagining what the commercial would look like if it were made with Bay's modern directing sensibilities. Think explosions, think slow-motion shots, think that very specific brand of bombastic excess that Bay became famous for after leaving milk commercials behind for giant robots. It's a parody of a parody, a commentary on both the original commercial and the trajectory of its director's career. And then there's one of the most delightful crossover moments in advertising history. In the mid-1990s, the Trix Rabbit, who had spent decades being told that silly rabbit, tricks are for kids, finally pulled off the impossible. He disguised himself as a human. He walked into a store. He obtained a box of tricks. Victory at last. He rushes home, pours the cereal into a bowl, opens the fridge to get milk, and the fridge is empty. No milk. After years of trying to get tricks, he finally has the cereal, but can't eat it properly. The commercial then reveals itself to be a Got Milk ad. It's devastatingly funny because it layers one iconic advertising frustration on top of another. The Trix Rabbit can never have tricks, and when he finally does, he doesn't have milk. The universe simply will not let this rabbit win. The Pillsbury Doughboy got an even darker treatment. A commercial begins looking like a typical warm, cozy Pillsbury ad. A family is baking chocolate chip cookies with the adorable Doughboy. Everything's wonderful until Mum discovers someone put an empty milk carton back in the fridge. No milk for the cookies. And when the culprit turns out to be the Doughboy himself, they bake him in the oven. I'm not making this up. They baked the Pillsbury Doughboy in the oven as punishment for drinking the last of the milk. Got milk indeed. The campaign's cultural significance was validated even by Jeopardy! In 2020, during Jeopardy! The Greatest of All Time tournament, the Aaron Burr commercial became a clue itself, cementing its place as not just advertising history, but American cultural history. Even in 2025, the campaign's shadow stretches long. The post-apocalyptic science fiction series Pluribus titled its 5th episode, Got Milk, a direct reference to the campaign. In the show's universe, the cheerful collective hive mind and their odd sustenance made from repurposed dairy factories gives the title an eerie new resonance. A slogan about suburban convenience gets recontextualized in a world where civilization has collapsed. It's the kind of reference that only works because the original is so deeply embedded that even a post-apocalyptic audience would recognize it. And that's really the point of all of this. The Got Milk campaign didn't just sell milk. It created a linguistic template that became part of the American vocabulary. Got, followed by a noun, became a universal formula. Got game, got sleep, got votes. Every adaptation, every parody, every joke was free advertising for the original. The California Milk Processor Board understood this. That's why they made the Got ripped off poster. That's why they never aggressively pursued parodies the way other brands might have. They recognized that imitation wasn't just flattery, it was fuel. Today, the average American drinks roughly 18 gallons of milk per year. In 1970, it was 30 gallons. The long-term decline in milk consumption continued despite the campaign. And in January 2014, the milk moustache ads were officially retired in favour of a new tagline, Milk Life. But by 2020, the pandemic drove a resurgence in milk sales, and Got Milk came back. The campaign is still studied in marketing classes as a masterwork of simplicity and cultural resonance. 2 words, a question mark, a white moustache, and the understanding that the worst moment in your day might be reaching for a carton that isn't there. Every TV show that parodied it, from The Simpsons to Sesame Street, from Weird Al to the Muppets, understood that same truth. The joke always works because the feeling is universal. You have the cookies, but not the milk. You know the answer, but can't say it. You've got everything you need except the one thing that makes it all work. Got milk? It turns out everyone did. And that's exactly why it became the most parodied slogan in television history.